At this time, I'll call to order the June 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Pike County Fiscal Court. This is a regularly scheduled meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask Pike County Safety Director William Spears if he would lead us in the invocation, please.
Let's pray. Father God, we come to you this evening, Lord, and seek your guidance for the direction of this court, Lord. We pray that your hand be on all decisions made here tonight and that they would be for the better of the citizens of this county and the workers of this county. We pray your guidance. We ask that you lead us in all things. In the Lord Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Robertson.
Here.
Commissioner Tackett.
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here. We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed. At this time, I would like to have United States Army veteran and a veteran of the Vietnam War, Mr. Eugene Gibbs, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Gibbs, thank you very much, sir. We have a fairly long agenda. Some of it will move quickly and some of it will take some time. With the court's indulgence, before we even move on to anything else, I want to address some issues regarding the Pike County solid waste system. As most people know, I should say most reasonable people know, we have been dealing with the pandemic and the fallout from all the restrictions that have been put in place by both the federal government and the state government. It's had a catastrophic impact on not only the nation's economy, but the state's economy, and we believe it's going to have a significant hit on Pike County's economy. Just today, in the News Express, one of the main headlines, East Kentucky unemployment rate skyrocket during the closure orders. In essence, Pike County's unemployment rate nearly doubled. It's up to 17.6%. And in doing the budget that we're going to talk about tonight, we knew that it would have a significant impact on our occupational net profit tax. And combined with the fact that we're continuing to lose coal severance tax, and we felt that the hit to the county road aid from the state, it's a massive hit. We lost the inmate labor from the jail. That saves the taxpayers on solid waste alone about $500,000 a year. But our county was able to provide a service in that we never shut down our solid waste system throughout the pandemic. We continued to provide solid waste. And to thinking that we were able to do that in a county that's 788 square miles, when the city of Lexington, which is much smaller, where it's a lot easier to pick trash up, there are not many haulers in Fayette County. The Lexington-Fayette Urban County government ceased curbside pickup during the pandemic. I'm not sure if they've started that back or not. But that was a service that we were able to continue to provide. One of the reasons that we had to do the rerouting of the system was because, as I've talked about, and as this court fully is aware, when we came in office less than a year and a half ago, our solid waste trucks were on the verge of basically shutting down the system. We had trucks that simply couldn't operate. And I'm going to bring the public up to speed on where the money has gone from the rate increase and why we had to do that. We basically had 4 solid waste lots. We had one at Belcher, we had the Pond Creek lot and the Johns Creek lot that both operated out of the Ford Mountain lot, and we had the Robinson Creek lot. And the problem we were having is when we were picking up garbage at each one of those 4 districts 5 days a week, if we had 2 or 3 trucks go down, an entire area of the county didn't get service. Maybe not just that day, but maybe for the entire week. We had a lot of missed pickups. Last year, I was adamant about trying to move to a 4-day trash collection schedule because a lot of people, like myself included, who have Monday pickup, automatically lose 3 pickups a year: Labor Day, Memorial Day, and Martin Luther King Day. It's an inconvenience for a lot of people. And there are people who are saying, well, if our rates go up, why are we still not having, we're missing 3 pickups? The problem when we tried to look at the 4-day week, Commissioner Booth was supportive of that. The problem is we didn't have the equipment to be able to do that. We also had business customers that Pike County Solid Waste had to serve on Monday. So it was a logistics issue. Last week we had people who were upset because they were new to the Monday pickup. People who had previously had pickups on other days were mad because their garbage didn't get picked up on Monday. Pike County Solid Waste, our employees have been working extremely long hours. One night this past week, they didn't get done until after 9:30. It's a safety issue. These guys are working 10, 12, and sometimes 14 hours a day. And it's heavy manual labor. This isn't just sitting behind a desk, playing on a computer. This is hard manual labor. And the men of Pike County Solid Waste Department deserve a tremendous debt of gratitude. Because keep in mind, every bag of garbage that they pick up, they don't know what's in it. It could be who knows what, blood. It could be somebody who's a COVID patient. You never know. And our solid waste crews have worked diligently to make sure that they've continued to provide the service. And the criticism that those men have had to endure is simply unfair. Most people in this county know how hard they work and they appreciate the service. But a lot of people also don't. So moving forward, we're going to try to address a couple things. One, your taxpayers, or actually should say ratepayers, who have shouldered the rate increase, let me tell you where your money's gone. We have started the permit application process to move the landfill expansion forward. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail later tonight. But that landfill expansion is not only important to the people of the county, but it's important to the city of Pikeville, the city of Coal Run Village, and the city of Elkhorn City. If we allow our landfill to close, that garbage is going to have to be hauled to Ashland, and I can assure you that the rates will be much higher than the current rates. You simply can't haul it to Ashland and pay somebody else to take it to Ashland cheaper than you can haul it to Johns Creek. It just doesn't work any more simple than that. One of the other issues is we have purchased 4 12-yard Packer trucks. I'm a little bit upset that they're not here. They're Peterbilts. They were bought from a local dealership, Martin's Peterbilt, down at Mossy Bottom. And tomorrow I'm going to instruct Judge Hickman to call Mr. Martin himself and find out where our trucks are. I assume that the pandemic may have a problem or may have something to do with that. But the message I would like to relay is that if we don't have those trucks by the end of June, the next person that calls in and is upset because their garbage didn't get picked up, I'm going to give them his cell phone number and they can call him. We have spent a lot of money to buy those trucks, and we keep getting different answers. I want an answer from Martin Peterbilt as to where the trucks are, and I want a definite delivery date. Last week we had 4 Packer trucks go down on Tuesday. Some people thought that was an excuse. Well, it's not foreseeable that you're going to have 4 trucks that are still under warranty go down at one time. We have addressed that with Worldwide Equipment, Mr. Terry Dotson, who's a good friend of mine and who does a lot for this community. We're going to make sure that those trucks are serviced timely, and we've been working on that. We still had 4 Packer trucks down today. When we get some new trucks in, the 4 new 12-yard trucks, it's going to help our reliability. And what it's going to do with the new routing system is when you have all 4 crews working in a geographic area, if we have trucks down, there's going to be backup there. It's going to help make sure that we don't have missed pickups like we did in the past. Also, I want to announce tonight a plan that has been put together by Mr. Chuck Morley and Stephanie Clevenger in Solid Waste Office, along with Judge Hickman, that in the future, on holidays, there will not be missed pickups. Now, we've talked about different things. We talked about the 4-day work week. That probably is logistically not possible. So we came up with a solution, and the solution is this. If there is a holiday on a Monday and your pickup day is on Monday, solid waste system's not going to run on Monday. Your trash will be picked up on Tuesday. People with the Tuesday pickup will be picked up on Wednesday. People with Wednesday pickup will be picked up on Thursday. Thursday pickups will be on Friday, and people who have their service on Friday will be picked up on Saturday. That will fix the problems that we're having with missed pickups. And the schedule is going to be as follows. On July 4th, Independence Day will be observed on Friday, July 3rd. Friday collection will be on Monday, July 5th. Collection will be on Tuesday, July 7th. Tuesday collection will be on Wednesday, July 8th. The Wednesday collection will be on Thursday, July 9th. Thursday collection will be on Friday, July 10th. And Friday collection will be on Saturday, July 11th. The following Monday, we'll be back on regular schedule. The same thing will be true on Labor Day, which will be observed on Monday, September 7th. So if you have Monday pickup, your trash will be picked up the next day on Tuesday and so forth. We are going to send this out. We're talking about doing a flyer to our customers. It will be put on the Pike County Solid Waste Facebook page, and we likely will run some ads in the newspaper and send out a rave alert notice. If you're not signed up for the rave alert, it is a free service that our Pike County Emergency Management Office provides. I would encourage you to go to their Facebook page. There is a link where you can register for the rave alert on the page, and I would encourage you to do that because it also will provide you with emergency weather notifications and other emergency alert information. So with that being said, we still have a problem with the Packers. And I have discussed this with some of the members of the court, just in passing. We have asked for bids, or not bids, we've asked for quotes from different vendors, and we have the ability to purchase these. I believe Mr. Fannon's in here somewhere. Is Greg here? We have the ability to purchase these through the Kentucky State Master Contract. So these are state contract price. They are 25-yard Packers, and I can't, it's a new way 25-yard rear load body on a Peterbilt chassis. And we need some backup in terms of the Packer trucks. It's not acceptable to me that we have this many trucks down at one time, and it really makes it impossible for our employees to do their job. Judge Hickman, would you like to go into a little bit about the details of these vehicles? Chuck is not in here, but you can probably go ahead and go through that.
Excuse me, Judge. The trucks are, as stated, they're Peterbilts. And they are on the ground. They're completely rigged and ready to go. The setting at the factory in Iowa and can be on the road in approximately 7 days.
Okay. One of the things that I want to mention is we have bought four pickups with the easy dump beds. We've got 4 12-yard Packers on order. It would be my motion that, and Greg, can you explain, these are state contract prices, the documents reflect, is that correct?
Yes, on these trucks, municipal equipment has them on the state contract. We had actually 4 trucks on the ground, 2 Freightliners, two Freightliners and 2 Peterbilts. All 4 of them have the 25-yard new way bodies on them that are available. The only other thing that would need to be done to them is put our grabber lifters on the back of them. I was told that if we decided tonight to buy 2 of these trucks, that they could have them at their location, install the lifter grabbers, and have them to us by the end of next week.
Okay. So with the purchase of these trucks, the 4 pickups and the easy dumps, the 4 we have ordered from, for the 12 yards, plus the 1 pickup truck that we moved from the road lot and put an easy dump on it, would essentially mean 11 new vehicles in a year in the solid waste department. Is that correct, Greg?
Yes, sir.
And we believe that this will help solve our maintenance costs. Now, I do want to bring up something to the court, is we have several of the Packers that are coming out from under warranty in the next 10,000 miles. So while we're going to be able to replace some of the mini Packers that we've had trouble with that are out of warranty, we're going to be dealing with some of the larger trucks that will have the warranty expiring. So it would be my motion that we purchase 2 of the 25-yard Peterbilt trucks for municipal equipment on state contract price for the total of $402,973.30. And let me make sure I understand. Does that include, Greg, the what's that?
There is a quote for 2 different, 2 Freightliners and 2 Peterbilts.
Okay, well, I'm trying to.
The Freightliners are 201, 486 each, or 402,973 for both of them. The Peterbilts are 203,685, or 407,371 total.
The problem I'm having, Greg, is I'm having trouble even with my glasses on reading this fax that came through. Bear with me for a second.
The Peterbilts are about $4,500 together, about $2,200 a piece more than the Freightliners are.
So, okay, let me restate that. My motion will be to purchase the 2 Peterbilts on state contract price with a 25-yard Magnum rear load bodies for $407,371.96. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion about these?
Greg, do these trucks have an exhaust brake on them?
I've got the full specs here with them. I've kind of gone through to make sure that they've got some of the things that we asked for in our other trucks, like a locking differential and that kind of thing. To be honest, Ronnie, I haven't had an opportunity to go through this really like I've needed to.
There should be Jake brake on that bigger truck, ain't it?
No, they don't have to have them on it. That's what I say. I mean, you ain't even had a chance to go through the specs on it.
C brake by Jacob,
It shows 0.
0.
I mean, you can't run a truck here without an engine brake.
What's that?
That's what holds it back whenever you,
Did you look and see if it was on here?
yeah, and it shows 0 on the engine brake. 3-stage engine brake, it says
What that
0.
0
Show me where
is
you
is
show me
optional.
where you see that at.
All right, just a minute, we'll go back to it.
What
That
that
doesn't
0
mean 0,
says
that's
is
Page 6 of 13.
Hang on a second.
1, 2, 3, the 4th one down, Judge.
what that is, it is an option that's on this truck. It doesn't come on the standard if it's listed on this with O. If it's listed with an S, it's standard equipment on that truck. If it's got an O, that's an option
Optional
that's been put
equipment
on
that
this
it's
truck.
included on it.
But is it on it?
Yeah, it's O. It wouldn't be on
O
this
is
sheet if it wasn't on it.
optional.
Okay,
It's
so
option on that truck, but it is on this truck.
that's fine. Because we need it. If you don't, we'd be wearing brakes out and everything else.
The S is the standard, the S is,
Huh?
hang on a second. The S is standard equipment on that truck. If it says O, it means it's optional equipment that's included. It will be.
It is on it.
Any other question or discussion?
No.
We need to get these in. I mean, this is, This is one of the big problems we've had, Chuck. Is that a fair statement? That when we're not getting our work done on the solid waste lots, this is one of the reasons is equipment's just, come up to the table up here, Chuck, and just, I want you to give the public and the court, and as I said, if we buy these 2 trucks, that will be a total of 11 new vehicles for solid waste in the last year. Is that correct?
Correct.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us just some of the problems. The public needs to understand what the crews have been doing. I've explained to them how we're changing the pickup schedule for holidays. And you've talked to the men about that, correct?
I have.
Are they supportive of that?
They are. Talked to all the foremans. They're very
Pull your
supportive
mic
of
a
it.
little closer too. So go ahead and just talk to us a little bit about some of the equipment issues that you've had.
Well, I mean, it's near impossible to maintain any kind of schedule when you can't keep equipment on the road. Seems like every time we get ahead, something breaks down, and we don't have any spare trucks to back anything up as it stands right now. We desperately need some equipment. These Peterbilts or anything at this point in time would help us a whole lot. We'd be able to move a couple of these older ones into as spare. That way, if you have something go down during the day, you got something to back it up with and finish the day's job. As it stands right now, you know, when something goes down, they're just down, and that puts more work on the trucks that's running, and it's just ridiculous the hours these guys are having to work right now, trying to keep up.
How much overtime just gonna cut down, Chuck?
I mean, it should eliminate the overtime, because y'all just got us the loader men to put on the backs, and
We got 6, right?
about 6. I mean, if we can keep our trucks on the road, we should be able to manage the
You gotta have
schedule.
equipment. I mean, whether it's solid waste or where you're at, you gotta have equipment.
I mean, that's one of our biggest problems is breakdowns, and nothing to back it up.
Any other questions on it? If you all want to wait till the end of the meeting, okay. We'll hold the roll call till the end of the meeting and come back to that. So that way, if you have any specific questions, you can get with Greg or Chuck. Chuck, did you go over the specifications on these trucks? Okay. Okay, you need to go over them and make sure before we have a final vote on it. Okay, well, that's what I was asking. Did you go over them and make sure, because I've never operated a solid waste vehicle before. You've done it for 20 years. Have you looked at the specifications for the two 25-yard trucks?
Right, they got everything we need on them. That's what I come in here to tell you, that where they're marked O, that just means it's an option that's included on this truck. It didn't come standard, but it's an option included.
Did I hear somebody say in 72 hours we can have these trucks?
7 days, we can have them on the road.
7 days on the road?
By the end of next week is what he told me. By the time they install the lifter grabbers on the back of them, when they get them back to their place, install the lifter grabbers, we should have them by the end of next week is what he told me today. I would like to bring the court up to date on another issue that you mentioned earlier. I talked to Russ Martin again today. 2 of the Peterbilt trucks will be delivered to Mid-State and Buchanan on Thursday of this week. The other 2 are about 30 days behind is what he's telling me, the best estimation he's got. But the first 2 will be delivered Thursday to Buchanan, Virginia, to Mid-State Equipment. I called Larry Beavers at Mid-State Equipment and see what the status of the bodies were. He said the bodies are about 2 weeks out. He said once he gets the bodies, within a week, they should be installed and delivered, so we should see the first 2 of the Peterbilt trucks by the end of the month.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on because we've got a long agenda. First item, or the next item, is approval of the minutes for May 5th, 2020 and May 19th, 2020. Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. I'm going to go just slightly out of order before we call Commissioner Shirtliff up. The next item that we're going to have for discussion or for action will be approval to execute a recreational land lease with Big Sandy Company LP. Kevin, would you come on up? I don't know if we have anybody from the Trails Advisory Board here. Commissioner,
Judge Eric McPeak said he would love to be here, but he had to sit with his mother tonight, so this evening he couldn't make it.
thank you. Let's go ahead and Kevin, why don't you or Commissioner Robertson, why don't you or Commissioner Tackett explain what we've done and the progress that we've made on the trail system? I think it's fair to say, but for the COVID-19 shutdown, we would have made a lot more progress on this.
You want to go ahead and start, and then I'll fill in. Judge, we with our committee here on this, we just started out just working together on getting this together, and it's starting the Flatwoods is going to be the first go around of it. Then we plan on going into Middlefield, working with we've kindly met with Hal Rogers, and maybe trying to get a chance to get a trail around Fish Trap Lake, where it kindly opens up through the rest of the county into Phelps or Belfry or Blackberry, wherever it leads. And this is one of the biggest steps that I think in 20 years that this court or anybody's had a chance to take, with a lot of help from the whole court and people of the community too, getting this done.
Well, I want to thank you and Commissioner Robertson in particular for your hard work on it. And we've got a Trails Advisory Committee, Whitey Gibbs, Eugene's son, several other people who have volunteered, put a lot of time in to get us to this point. I think this is probably farther along than the court's ever been in terms of establishing a trail. But before I have asked Kevin to explain the lease agreement that will give us the first lease that will be part of our trail system here in Pike County, our recreational trail system. Ronnie, would you go ahead and just comment and explain a little bit about what you've done on it and the work that's been put into this?
Well, I just want to thank Eric for helping put this together with Big Sandy Co. I mean, he spent some time on this and he got this done for us. But this will be a big impact for Pike County if we can get this off the ground and get it going. And like I said, the judge said 1 year and 6 months we've worked on it. Whitey's got a lot of it mapped already. We've really made some progress with this.
Mostly about 750 miles as of today, and I know he's done some more mapping. How much more we've not got to have a meeting on account of COVID-19.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that put us behind real bad, but this is going to be good for Pike County, good for the city of Pikeville. People will come here and ride, because I think we've got we can have the biggest trail system anywhere around. And I think it'll bring a lot of tourism here, and that's what we need in Pike County.
Greg Hatfield, who's a close friend to all the members of this court, lives over at Mud Lick. Of course, he owns property over in Blackberry and up on Balfort Mountain. And he's got rooms where he rents out in the old Blackberry School. Mm-hmm. He's had people coming in from Australia to ride trails. And, will it replace all the mining jobs that we've lost? Probably not. But I had to go to Middlesboro and look at an accident scene for the law practice last week, and I was shocked. Kevin and I we drove down there. We were shocked at how many businesses in Harlan County, places that you could see that are just there because of their trail system. And Greg Fann and I were over at Mate One. We stopped over there to eat last week. We were over at down in Blackberry and went down to Buskirk, looked around some, and looked at a piece of property. And we just grabbed a bite. We drove. He said, "Let me show you something." Drive over to Mate One. There's ATVs everywhere. People are spending money, and they're not local people. They're people from all over.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that if we can do, and we can bring people in here to show them what we have to offer, will not only open up adventure tourism, but it may open up other economic development opportunities.
Said Chauncey Hatfield last week, where he's putting his campground in over on the river, said he couldn't get another trailer in there.
So that's what
I don't even think he's got the hookup set up yet, but he was filled up.
Well, you know, those are people that are going to be employing people. They're going to be paying occupational net profit tax, and they're going to be, you know, it's going to be economic activity. And that economic activity is something that we have, the loss of economic activity from people who have moved, the loss of coal jobs is something that it's imperative that we replace. And I think this is a positive step in that direction.
And the other thing about this, Judge, we could hook this up from Spearhead, which is in Virginia, to the Hatfield-McCoy Trail. I mean, it'll bring a lot of people into this county.
And it probably won't be, it's not on this agenda, but our grant writer, Sharon Hall, is working on an RFP to put out for us to hire an engineering firm to use an economic development dollars that we have to use for economic development. They're earmarked for that purpose to try to help get this trail mapped, get it designed, and get it moving, because we've got to have somebody on the ground 7 days a week making this happen.
Right.
Volunteers have done a great job, and they've done a great job of getting us off to the point where we are now. But if we're going to do a trail system, we need to get it done. And the only way to do that is to hire somebody to do that. So probably at the next court meeting, we will hopefully be able to, if not that one, the first one in July, we'll be able to retain the services of a engineering / land company to move this thing forward. So with that being said, Kevin, you have, Mr. King, you have gone through the lease, you have worked on the details of this, you have the map attached to the back, and we can provide that to the press that lays out the areas in the flat woods where we will be able to get this thing moving. So would you just briefly give us an overview of what we're dealing with in the lease?
What we have is a recreational land lease agreement, wherein the Big Sandy Company through Chauncey Kurtz, and as you said, Eric McPeak has worked very closely with Big Sandy in helping to get this agreement in place and to set out the land that's going to be used. He's actually been the go-between, and Mr. Kurtz, who is the president of Big Sandy, and myself have passed this lease back and forth a few times to go through the terms, and Big Sandy has been really good about working with us on this. The initial term is for 10 years, and the initial lease is for $1 a year. They want to try to help us to see if we can get this thing off the ground. Now, there is some language in there after 5 years that we can see how we're doing with the trail and potentially renegotiate the lease at that time, but they're doing everything they can to try to help get us started. This is a rather long lease. It's about 15 pages. A lot of the reason for that is because it goes through the history and refers to the map and the property that's included, and we'll get a copy of this to the press. It's predominantly the area that is known commonly in the county as Flatwoods. There is another couple of small areas over in the Elkhorn Creek Ash Camp area, I think, Jason, is that right?
Covers
Looks
more.
like Marbone, and then down next to the, up in Ash Camp, on the strip job they had back there, that was kindly, we didn't ask for that, but it was put in there. They're gonna go ahead and let us have that too, so.
And hopefully we can link those areas up.
We can hook them up, I believe, very easy.
And as we progress with this thing. Aside from that, it basically leaves it to the county to set forth the rules and regulations of the trail system itself. There is a committee meeting tomorrow where we're going to discuss some of the rules that we're looking at for operation of the ATVs and the recreational vehicles on the trails. Hopefully we'll make some progress with that. But this is, as you said, the first opportunity, the furthest the county has made it to actually get a piece of property. We've talked about trails for a long time, but with the signing of this document, we'll actually have the land to have a trail.
It's great news. So I personally want to thank, Eric McPeak's my brother-in-law, and when I asked him to serve on this board, there was a reason. He's out Saturday and Sunday. He's out riding.
Yeah.
And he's been adamant about doing this. And really, we probably wouldn't have been able to get this lease put in place but for him. And I want to personally thank Eric for his hard work on this. So with that being said, is there a motion to approve execution of a recreational land lease with Big Sandy Company LP that will allow us to establish Pike County's recreational trail system?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Commissioner Robertson, and those are two is a well-deserved motion and second because those two guys have worked really hard.
Congratulations, guys.
And so, is there any other question or discussion? I know Commissioner Booth and I have looked at some areas over in the Blackberry area that we think have a lot of potential. And, you know, we're going to work to make sure that this trail system has a financial impact or potential financial impact for the entire county. We don't want to leave any area of the county out. We want this thing to be able to pack our motels, our restaurants, our gas stations. We want to see businesses grow here, and there are people who are willing to do that. So we have a motion, a second, and if there's no other question or discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
The next item is an update from AEP and also Pikeville City Commissioner Bob Shirtliff's here, and we want to talk to him about the trail system as well. So, Commissioner, welcome. Appreciate you being here and appreciate the support that you've given to the fiscal court. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We talked last week, and I think some good news is in your day job with Kentucky Power. First of all, I want to thank Kentucky Power. Kentucky Power, as you know, I've not always agreed with a lot of their decisions, but Kentucky Power is putting the new service center, I guess it is, down at Green Meadow that will be in the county's tax base. That will be, how many prospective jobs will that be down there, Bob?
They're moving what is there from Coal Run down, and there'll be an additional bump in jobs of a few, 8 or 10 that's coming in there, but it's going to bring more and more traffic. One thing about that facility, it's a transmission facility on the Transco. Kentucky pays, and this is from my knowledge from distribution, Kentucky pays a portion of AEP, and it could have easily been in APCO, and we would have paid the same portion. So we're paying about 6% of that facility, and then the other 94% is coming in from the other Transco members. So we're getting the building at 6% of the cost, and 94% is coming from others because it's going to be a regional hub for the transmission.
But that will be jobs, it will be people who will be paying taxes in the
Yes.
county tax base.
Yes.
And we appreciate that investment in Pike County because really Kentucky Power, or AEP, I guess the parent company, could have built that facility in other states as well.
That's what I'm saying. It could have been moved just into the West Virginia side. It could have been moved into Ashland or into Charleston area or even down in Tennessee. But I think one thing that's unique to Pike County and Eastern Kentucky, logistically, we're in a good position to feed a lot of different areas within AEP and as well as a lot of different areas in the country.
We appreciate that investment in Pike County. You also mentioned to me last week a proposal that Kentucky Power has submitted to the PSC that would allow a lot of delinquent bills, past due accounts for residential customers to be forgiven. People who've incurred bills they've not been able to pay due to the COVID pandemic. I think you said there were 22,000 delinquent customers right now in Kentucky Power service area. Is that correct?
Yes, we filed a two-prong approach on Friday with the commission. The COVID relief fund that you're speaking about, we have, and you're right, your memory serves you well, we've got 22,000 customers that are 30 days or delinquent or more as of May 28th. And that was a proposal, part of everything was filed with the commission on Friday look at that and take the AFDIT federal tax incentive program that was ruled on a few years ago that's coming back into the system already, to push that toward those delinquent payments to get people whole. We thought it was a good time to, as we're coming through COVID, to get a restart with that. So that was a portion of it.
One of the things, just curiosity, 22,000 delinquent accounts. How many total accounts are there in the Kentucky Power Service area?
Kentucky Power, we've got about 165,000. We've lost a little over, I think it's almost 29,000 over the last several years, as you've seen here in Pike County, from customers moving out or people moving away. So
That is a substantial number of delinquent accounts out of 165,000 total.
and those are residential, commercial, and industrial.
So
And
it would,
they'll all be treated the same.
well, let me ask you this. How much higher is that 22,000 number than what you would normally see on a monthly basis?
It's on different sectors of our industry or in sectors of our customers. I've seen it go up double, and I've seen it go up 4 times, depending on from March 5th, when we went back and started looking at delinquencies at that point. So it's continued to climb. It will continue to climb if we don't take some action and make sure. I mean, we've postponed disconnects. We did that before the commission ordered it, so that people wouldn't be worrying about that. At some point, those bills are still building, and at some point, those will be changed back by commission order. But everything we do is controlled by the commission, as you know, in your past history and your knowledge of how the system works. So these are all contingent upon the commission approvals, but it has doubled, and like I said, one segment has gone up almost 400%.
That's amazing. And, you know, it goes back, I think, with what we saw in the newspaper about the unemployment numbers, how they've doubled here in Pike County and really the entire Big Sandy region. I think McGoffin County's unemployment rate's nearly 19%. I mean, you've got counties that are just really just have been decimated. Counties are already struggling for jobs in your service area, Martin County and other counties that have really been hit hard. So, would you keep us updated on what the commission does on that?
Yes.
Let us know, and if the commission approves the plan that would
And we've
provide.
asked for an expedited ruling from the commission because of the time sensitivity of taking that snapshot and trying to be able to do this. But they are, as you know, they operate at their speed and they make those decisions, so.
And I would suspect a substantial number of those 22,000 are here in Pike County.
I don't know the breakdown of that, but we are, from my time as district manager and from the Pikeville district, would include Pikeville, South Williamson, and Painesville, we're about 43% of the makeup of Kentucky Power. So you had Hazard and Ashland that made up the other 60%, 30% in each one, 32% in each one, never how the math works out. But, and to build on that or to say something further, I mean, I want to commend you on, I know you talk a lot about the garbage and the solid waste. I understand what it's like to service the entire county, and a lot of people don't understand what it's like to move and logistically get through that on a daily basis. So I feel your struggles at times when we're moving all over the county, and it's a large county. There's a lot of road miles that you got to travel, and you can't always make a loop.
You know, if you live here in Pikeville, you can go up one street. You know, the city, Commissioner
We make a
Booth.
square and pick it up all the way around. And we've got our lines the same way. You go in the head of one Holland, you got to back out and come around and drive 20 minutes to get on the other side.
Now, Pikeville is a little bit different than Lexington. There are some hollers in the city limits of Pikeville.
Oh, yes, but it's, I mean, it's home. It's where we want to live. That's the reason I'm here.
Well, it's just like where I live up on Left Fork Island Creek. It's probably 5 miles to the head of the creek, and there's no way out. You go up to the head and you come all the way back. You're backtracking, and that causes a lot of excessive mileage, excessive wear that you don't see in places like Lexington or you don't see here in the city of Pikeville.
No.
And a lot of folks don't really. We've had people asking about the weeds being cut. We've got crews out every day, and you know, you've got 1,100 miles of county roads, but you have to cut both sides. That's, you know, really cutting the weeds for our county roads will be almost like cutting them from here to Arizona, to put it in perspective.
We've got about 3,800 miles of distribution line, so I understand. I mean, it's like going from New York to California and halfway back. And when you're trying to hit all those spots, and weeds are like softwood trees, grow about 14 foot a year. So once you cut them, time you get finished with your cycle, you're behind on the second cycle if you hadn't already started again.
The situation, we've been cutting weeds for 3 weeks, 2 days a week. The other 3 days, we've been broke down. So we've cut weeds for 6 days and work on the equipment for 9, so I mean.
You know, and that's part of the issue that this court inherited. We're gonna find a solution to it. Before we move on, anybody have any questions on the Kentucky Power issues? Now let's talk about something that I know 2 or 3 of these guys over here are really interested
Commissioner
in.
Robertson keeps looking at me, and I don't know if his eyes are squinted or.
You
I
may have
started
a
to
tow.
interrupt you there,
You may have a
Commissioner. I
tow.
started to interrupt you and say, let's stop.
You may have a tow truck hooked to your vehicle out there, and you won't get it loose until you. But anyway, you have been working to help us, and I say us, the fiscal court, get a lease to the property that AEP has that would tie into the property that we have just obtained a lease from Big Sandy for our trail system. Right. And you and I had a conversation about that last week. What do we need to do to get the folks up in, I guess, the higher ups at AEP, whoever would make that call, to get them to give us a long-term lease or work something out with us on this property?
Well, I've been asking that question and working with that. I actually had a conversation with 2 land management people today. I got a copy of your lease with Big Sandy and forwarded it to them so that they could see it, because that property, as I found out, that it was a part of Kentucky Coal. It's a part of the deregulated side of AEP and not a part of Kentucky Power per se, so it's not under Brett Madison. The way I understand it, it's under Chuck Zabula and the deregulated portion of AEP. There's also, I found out today that there are some bond permits that are still there on that property. So I'm trying to find out where that goes, what it is, and also got the map from Sharon. I'd like to have a copy of what else you've added to it digitally so that I overlaid it on I'll take that, but if I can get the digital file with just the data, I don't need the background of the maps, and I can come back and get that tomorrow or next week.
I don't know if we have that, but we'll work to get that if we don't have it. Do we have
That
it?
way I can overlay it on our property maps and our GIS system so that they can see that. I'm visual, so when you lay it on our property, there's a lot of it's on Big Sandy as I see it. There are some cut throughs, especially looks like on the Pigeon side that is on part of AEP property. That section in the middle around the water tank, the trails that I have avoid it, so it goes around it. So that's what I want to make sure, that I'm not going back to the leaders in AEP and the people that I need to talk to and say, okay, here's this piece, and here's this piece. So if I can get all of that section in there, if anything's been added, it may not have been.
Sharon, Whitey is mapped, isn't that, can we get that off now, or
Hey,
Doug, can we
Jason.
get-
Yeah.
Let's have her come up here, because if she's
Okay.
saying something, we need.
That's where I got the first section. You just said tonight that there'd been, I think there was 780 miles on the first section, and
Well, that's
600.
total, that's like from here through Phelps and,
so I didn't know the number had grown since I got my file.
Okay.
So I want to see if there's anything been added in that area.
okay.
Bob, you said there were still some bonding things on that property. Is there any reclamation that has to be done to it, or?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm not a land person, and I'm just finding that those are there, and they may not be on the section that you're targeting. That's what I want to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I think, and one thing I told the judge in our conversation, and I've told Sharon, I want to be perfectly clear, if it's a lease or something that we can work out, AEP's actively looking to have a lease on the usable portion of that property or sell the whole property and get rid of it. So that's another thing I'm working with Sharon, trying to find out. I can't tell you a price so that you've got total control, but I know where to start, in my opinion, but that's up to the courts, and I can get those people, everybody together.
Well, if we could get you those maps and get it all overlaid, then we'll know more about it.
Yeah.
Well, I sure appreciate you.
Like I said, I found out, I thought it was a part of, that rolled into Kentucky Power, rolls into Kentucky, it was Kentucky Coal, and now the deregulated side. There's also that little bit of bonding issue, and I don't know where it's at, but I asked that question today. Legal's looking at it too, from AEP's perspective, but like I said, if you've changed any of that infrastructure of where those are, or if you got an updated map, I want to overlay it on ours and see where it's at.
It works. We'll get that data. Judge Hickman's gonna get with Charles Charles Maynard in the GIS office and see if we can't put that together.
When he got me the first one, he got me all the background information. I don't need it. I just need the overlay on the top, because it made the file 30 megs, and you don't need that much. You just need the top section, because we've got the base layer section we can import into our GIS.
Now, I'm gonna move on to a third issue.
Okay.
Well, before we do that, if we need to go to Columbus or wherever I need to go to work something out, if you'll let me know who I need to meet with and where, we'll do it, because this is important.
I know.
And it goes to what I was getting ready to transition into. There are some opportunities to work with the city of Pikeville on the trail system as well, because I know that Mayor Carter and yourself would like to have that trail involving the city of Pikeville. It would be in the best interest of the trail system to make sure that we do, if we had a trailhead coming into the city of Pikeville, it's going to help the city. It's going to help, bring more people to Pike County, because it's our county seat. So we want to make sure that we have this continual line of communication. Mayor Carter and I worked closely together during this pandemic to make sure that we were doing what we needed to do to keep people safe and healthy. So we look forward to working with you and the rest of the city commission to move this trail system forward.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm sure you've probably seen the mayor more than I have during this pandemic.
We've not seen each other a whole lot, but we've talked a lot. So, and we want to thank Mayor Carter for his hard work as well. So,
all right.
Thank you, Bob.
And Sharon can give me a call. We've texted all, 3 or 4 times a day, and if I need to come up and pick that up, or if the file's small enough, she can email it or put it in a Google Drop or whatever.
We'll try to get that to you tomorrow if it's possible. We'll get it there.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
So, before we move on to the next, let's go ahead and go on to item 3 on the agenda. On the agenda is the adoption of a resolution authorizing the filing of a coronavirus relief fund application for reimbursement of incurred expenses in CRF funds with the Department of Local Government, authorizing and directing the judge executive to execute all documents which are deemed necessary, and authorizing the judge executive to act as an authorized correspondent for reimbursement. Under the $300 million in state allocated CARES funds, Pike County can claim up to $1,970,457. But there are limitations on reimbursement from that pool of money. Expenses incurred due to the COVID-19 public health emergency can be recouped for the period of March 1st to December 30th, 2020. And those are only for expenses that were not accounted for in our FY 2020 budget. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, because part of that period of time will be in the 2021 fiscal year. So one issue that I want to bring to the court's attention, Matt Stevens, who is general counsel for the Department of Local Government, was my general counsel when I was Senate Democratic floor leader. And last week, I had a long conversation with Floyd County Judge Executive Robbie Williams, and Robbie and I have worked closely together. We've made trips to Frankfurt together, and Robbie's an accountant. He's a really sharp guy. Well, Robbie was doing some research on this and discovered that we have the ability here at the local level to create a grant program for businesses that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And essentially, we can, by ordinance, create a small business relief program. And we can establish that by ordinance. We can establish an evaluation committee. And it needs to be a committee of individuals from out in the county who would make the determinations on awarding grants. So for instance, it's clear that our recoupable expenses for the pandemic between the fiscal court and the jail will not be $1,970,000. Probably nowhere close to that. But it's my belief is we don't need to let that money go back to Frankfurt. And we would be by far better off if we could find a way to keep that money here. And under the statute and the enabling legislation and the regulations, and I have verified this with the Department of Local Government, we can create a grant program, and let me, if I can pull this up here. I will be able to forward to you some information that we received from the Department of Local Government, Commissioner King. We can create a grant program, so we have to submit an MOA, Memorandum of Agreement. Takes a few weeks to get it started. We have to submit that to the Department of Local Government. I'm not even sure we need to do this by ordinance. We probably can do this. We can start working on the MOA, get that ready to go, get it out to the Department of Local Government, and if they approve it, so let's say that, Frankie, when will we have an idea about what our reimbursement amount will be?
Judge, we're still gathering all that information together about solid waste in the jail. We've got all the invoices pulled for any kind of items that we've bought, all the protective equipment, and we've got all the costs calculated for the employees that got quarantined. But still, the amount of jail overtime and solid waste overtime, we don't have a number on it yet.
What do you think this is going to run?
From now through the end of December, $400,000.
So that would leave $1.5 million or more that we could do this grant program. And we need to go ahead and authorize, as part of this, I'll restate the motion in a minute, or I'll make the motion. If we could do a grant program where we could do 5,000 or 7,500 for local businesses, I think that would be a huge step into helping, say, hair salons. We would need to sit down and maybe even have a special court meeting if we would put some rules in place. Who would qualify? We want to make sure that the people that qualify, for instance, are, file their taxes, that they're not delinquent on any county. For instance, they got a delinquent garbage bill, they shouldn't get a grant from the county. If they've got delinquent taxes, people who are, working for cash, those are the kind of, I'm talking about legitimate businesses that have tax ID numbers, or individuals who operate businesses and pay occupational tax. There's a lot of small businesses, hair salons, mom and pop businesses, grocery stores, people who are struggling there's some businesses that are simply not going to be able to reopen. The hit's just been too much. But if we could pump $1 million from this or more into our local businesses, I mean, this is something that we could do for the county and even the businesses in, you know, businesses like, you know, Walmart, those kind of box stores, they don't need the help. But there are a lot of small, locally owned businesses.
The true small business.
That's absolutely true. And we could do it, you know, there's some things we could do, and I'll work with Judge Hickman to put an MOA together, and we may have to do this in a special meeting next week just to get it done so we can get it to Frankfurt. But if there's $1,970,000 sitting there, we don't need to send that money. We don't need to send one dime of that money back to Frankfurt. Of course, we don't have the money yet, but if that's available, that's what we need for Pike County. And Judge Williams had told me about this. I verified it with the Department of Local Government, and I think there's a lot of small businesses out there that could use this kind of relief. You know, businesses that have shut down or they've incurred, you know, substantial costs affected, you know, for cleaning, disinfecting, those kind of things. So I'm going to restate, and I'll make the motion. It would be my motion that we adopt a resolution authorizing the filing of a coronavirus relief fund application for reimbursement of incurred expenses and CRF funds with the Department of Local Government, authorizing and directing the county judge executive to execute any documents which are deemed necessary, and authorizing the judge executive to act as the authorized correspondent for reimbursement, and further authorizing the judge executive to draft a MOA for approval by the court to be submitted after approval to the Department of Local Government to create a small business COVID-19 public health emergency grant program to be administered as set forth in the MOA. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion about that? Or any thoughts on that? And there's some significant impact for the sheriff's office on this as well. So once we have an idea about what our actual expenses are, we'll know how much we can do on this. But I would like for it to be set up in an independent board, or we can get with Sharon tomorrow and figure out how we could best do that. It doesn't need to be anybody on this court that's making those decisions. We don't want anybody to say it's done politically. We don't want anybody to say that it's being done as self-dealing. We want this to be above board. I probably would even think that somebody, you know, from the press ought to be on the board to make sure that it's done fair and square. Somebody like Bill Sloan, our Commonwealth attorney, you know, we want to make sure that this is done right, by the book, but we also want to make sure that we're sending every penny of money we can to our businesses. So we have a motion, a second. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. And I will get a list of names, just some folks off the top of my head I would think, again, would be maybe Jeff Vanderbeck, maybe Bill Sloan, Kevin Hall, Hall and Jones Funeral Home at Virgie. We need to find some other folks. We need to have about 5 or 7 people that would be responsible for vetting the applications and approving them. And then we would pay the grant and then seek reimbursement. And I'll send to each one of you all, if we take a break, I will have Ms. Robinson print out what I received. Frankie needs that. I think I did send that to Judge Hickman. He's already looked at it. And this is something that just came up this week. And I want to thank Judge Robbie Williams in Floyd County for bringing this to my attention. It's something that he came up on in, you know, his reading some of the guidance on the PPP program for his accounting clients. And he found it, and we appreciate that. All right. The next item is something that I need to bring to the court's attention. Not everyone, of course, we can't discuss county business with a quorum outside of the court under the open meetings law. But yesterday I asked Commissioner Robertson to accompany me to a meeting with the Ross Harris Group, Mr. John Harris and Mr. Glenn Turner. We have a little small hiccup in the permit process for the landfill. And as the public has been made aware, we only have about 3 years or so left on this landfill. Before the end of this term of this fiscal court, we have to have construction started. When we went down and met with the Division of Waste Management, I guess it was in January or February, they were very clear it takes 2 years to get the permit through the process. That only leaves us with a year to get the bonding done, to get construction, construction company hired, and get construction started before this landfill is going to be full. That may even be shorter now because of the volume of material that's gone into the landfill in the last 2 months. We have seen a substantial increase in the amount of trash and debris that's gone into the landfill. The main issue is in the permit process, we have to have a letter from any mineral owner that has mineral underlying the permitted area, or any, and that would include Diversified Gas because they have a well on the property. They've already signed off on it. But the Ross Harris Group, when we went to them, they have about $70,000 tons of coal underlying that area that we are seeking to permit for the landfill expansion. Now, we've had 2 meetings with the Ross Harris Group. Mr. Spears, Judge Hickman, myself went over and met with them last week. They wanted to meet with us again. And essentially, this mineral that underlies the landfill is held in a trust for, I assume, for Ross's children. And as they explained it to me, is that anything that's taken out of the trust, including this mineral, if they were to deed that to the county, they would have to have a like-kind asset to replace it. So what basically they've asked us to do is a like-kind exchange of property. And they already have 2 tracts of property leased from the fiscal court, long-term leases that were done well before we came into office. One is on a piece of property that is at the top of Ford Mountain. I'm not sure, Jeannie, do you remember when they leased that? It's a lease that they've had. It's probably she thinks it was 2017, 2015, 2017, somewhere in that time period. The other is on the property that they have a long-term lease for, like 40 years over at Scott Fork, that we had to clarify. If you recall, they had already had, I think, a 99-year lease, and we had to clarify that earlier this year. In order for us to do that, there's 2 things that we have to do. We have to have a valuation of the mineral, because under the statute, we have to, for us to be able to do a like-kind exchange with a private company, it has to be of the property that we get at the fiscal court has to be of equal or greater value, I believe is the way the statute, is that correct, Kevin? It has to be of equal or greater value than what we're giving up. So the issue came up on how we value the surface involved and how we value the mineral. What I would request is that, and I would make the motion that we agree to pay for an appraisal by an individual that we mutually agreed upon to do the appraisal of the mineral that underlies the landfill. That since we're asking the Ross Harris Group to deed that to the county in this process, that we mutually agree on a person to do that, and that we would pay for the appraisal and also pay for an appraisal on the surface areas that we own that they're wanting us to exchange for the mineral. If we don't do this, and we can't work something out, you might as well go ahead and start working to close the landfill, because we cannot get the permit on the expansion. And I think that's a fair statement. Is that correct, Judge? From what? We can't, I mean, you might as well get ready to shut your landfill down in 3 years if we can't get something worked out. When the landfill was built, it was not a requirement that we have the consent of any mineral owners that are impacted. Apparently, over the last 20 or 30 years, the law has changed. I do have a letter that's in your packet that they were nice enough to prepare for us, KYBC Land Corporation, which owns the mineral underlying the landfill. And let me just say this. We have gone down, yesterday we did a lot of work. Mr. Spears did a lot of work in the deed room, making sure and verifying the fact that that KYBC does own the mineral. We've got copies of those leases and those deeds if anybody wants to see those. And here's what the letter says. KYBC Land Corporation owns mineral property needed for the Pike County landfill expansion permit. The corporation agrees to deed mineral property to the county in a like-kind exchange. Both parties mutually agree to hire an independent consultant to evaluate the properties to be exchanged. Now, the name that they brought up, and it's someone I have no problem with, but that the public needs to understand, is Mr. Rick Keene of Keene Mining Consultants. That happens to be Kevin's dad. He has done work for them before. He's also done work for me in the past. In my law practice, I trust Rick. He's a straight shooter. He's as honest as they come. But that was the name that they would agree on. So I wanted to bring that to the court's attention. Is there any thoughts on that?
I have no problem with it. But
Well,
you need to also tell the people that they could mine this coal. They could mine it underneath our landfill.
They could mine it, and if that happened,
There's not a law that stops them from doing that, right? Am I correct?
there is no regulation that would stop them from mining that. That could cause problems.
It could cause us a big problem.
It could cause a big problem. It could get somebody hurt or killed, because you never know. There's a lot of weight up there. There's a lot of fluids up there. We basically, this is something new. I've never had to deal with a landfill permit before. But if we delay this too much, if this drags out for 3 or 4 or 5 months, we're going to be pushed really hard to get this thing done before our term ends. And, I've said it earlier in the meeting, if the landfill shuts down, the cost for people in this county, in the city and the county, are going to go up substantially. It's in the best interest of everybody in this county to keep that landfill running. Any other thoughts on it?
I think we have to do what we got to do.
It would also be my recommendation that we hire, and this is a name that I gave, somebody I've used before, I have experience with, probably one of the better appraisers in the area, who has probably one of the more credentialed appraisers, is Alan Hensley from Hensley Real Estate. So it would be my motion that the court retain the services of Rick King Mining Consultants to do an appraisal on the value of the mineral that underlies the area in the proposed permit expansion. And we also hire Alan Hensley to do the appraisal on the 2 tracts of land that they're interested in exchanging, and that being the property on the top of Ford Mountain that they already have a lease for, and the property that they have a lease for on Scott Ford. So that would be my motion. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. We will get this done as soon as we can with the authorization. I'll get Judge Hickman to start on this immediately because we need to be able to act on this at the next court meeting in order to get this done. I want to thank the folks at the Ross Harris Group for going ahead and sending this letter to us. This is something that we need to get, Judge Hickman, if you can get this down, we got to send this to Frankfurt tomorrow. That will allow them to move forward. I think this will be sufficient to let us move forward on the permit until we can get something worked out with the Ross Harris Group. So we have a motion, as previously stated. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. All right, that brings us to our insurance renewal. I forgot to tell you, this is in the, this letter on the, from CAECO is in here on the relief funds application, so you can take a look at that. The first thing that we have is the renewal on our health insurance. And unfortunately, as I explained at one of the previous meetings when we did the 2021 budget first reading, our health insurance is increasing by $121,461. This is through Pill and Holland. It is part of the CAECO group. Now, let me say this. We had every county in the CAECO group had a 9.49% rate increase. Every county. Had they not done that, Pike County had one of the 2 or 3 highest claim amounts of any county. Our rate would have gone up 19, almost 20%. So basically, the carrier spread this out over all the counties in the pool, and the increase is approximately $121,016. I'm sorry, $121,009. Is there a motion to authorize renewal of the Pike County Employee Health Group Health Plan for the premium of $1,521,481.26? Let me put my glasses on. I don't know if that's an 8 or a 6. It's an 8.28. Is there a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is approval for renewal of our property and casualty insurance. Sorry about that. The total premium for our property and casualty insurance was $665,505.94 in the current fiscal year. For 2020, the increase is up to $762,047.64. So about $97,000 increase for our casualty. As you know, we've had several accidents. It's something that we've worked diligently to address. It's something Mr. Spears, as our safety director, has worked hard to deal with. And we're hopeful, if we don't have any other big claims, that we could see a substantial drop both in workers' comp and in our property and casualty insurance next year. With that being said, is there a motion to authorize the renewal of our property and casualty insurance with Assured Partners as the agent for the sum of $762,047.64?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. And this is a net increase of 6%. So, is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is approval to execute a service and retainer agreement with Assured Partners. This is the same agreement that we executed last year. It is basically authorization for the service and retainer agreement, which is also reflected in the premium for the property and casualty. It's not an additional amount, it's the same amount that's set forth. I think I'm stating that correctly. Is that right, Justin? Okay. And it's the same one we did last year. It really saves us about $60,000 off of their commissions, and it was something that we negotiated last year in order to get the premium down. Is there a motion to authorize the execution of a service and retainer agreement with Assured Partners?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. The next item on the agenda is second reading and approval of the 2020-2021 Pike County Fiscal Court proposed budget ordinance. We have received a letter back from May 20th from the Department of Local Government. It has been approved for to allow us to go ahead and to execute this. One thing I want to point out is we have hopes that if our occupational and net profit tax, this budget reduces our occupational net profit tax receipts or anticipated receipts by about $600,000. The budget also reflects an approximate cut in our county road aid that we get from the state that helps fund our road department of about $600,000. It also reflects a substantial decrease in coal and mineral severance. Last year, we only collected $1.4 million in coal and mineral severance. 10 years ago, the county collected $12.3 million, to put it in perspective. Hopefully, with Excel Mining's operation getting ready to come online, that we'll see our coal severance tax numbers go up. Hopefully, we will not take as big of a hit as we have budgeted on our occupational net profit tax. If that's the case, we're hopeful that we can bring some of the people back that were laid off. We laid off a lot of good people. Not something that this court wanted to do, but it was something that we had to do because unlike Washington where they can print money, we have to have a balanced budget. The county is financially stable. That's something that very few administrations could say over the last few years. This court's not bounced any checks. This court has not had the state auditor come down on us like in the past. This court did not lose a credit rating. In fact, we're working to get our credit rating reestablished. But in order for Pike County's government to operate in the future, long after we're gone, we have to balance our budget and make sure that we're good stewards of the taxpayer money. And one thing I will say is this court has not wasted money. This court has made massive cuts. We look for every way we can to save taxpayer money, and this court did not raise taxes. This budget does not raise taxes or rates of any kind. And that is our goal as a court, that we would not have any tax increases during the remainder of this term. Very, very few administrations in the history of this county can say they went 4 years without a tax increase of some kind. We are going to do everything we can to make that happen. Can't say for sure that we will, but that is our goal. There is no tax increase allocated in this budget. So is there a motion? I guess, Kevin, you need to present the second reading of the budget, of the ordinance.
Yes, for the folks at home, and as the court's well aware, by law, we have to do a second formal reading in order to enact this budget. In summary form, this year's budget shows revenues and appropriations in a total amount of $35,162,822. Anybody that wants to look at the specific line items, that is available in the judge's office at any time.
Thank you, sir. All right, so it is in order to entertain a motion to adopt the 2020-2021 budget of the Pike County Fiscal Court. Is there a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? That was a tie. Is there a second? All right. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is that correct? All right. Any other question or discussion? Any comments on the proposed budget? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is awarding of bids. Mr. Fanning. Please proceed, sir.
I don't have an official bid to present to the court, but I do have an issue here that we've been trying to make a decision on that we need to get court approval for. And that is the tippers, lifters, grabbers that we need to put on the 12-yard Peterbilt trucks that should be here, the first two by the end of the month, the next two by the end of the next month. These are very similar to the tipper grabbers that we have on the easy dump trucks. Instead of having the lifter that takes a special kind of can, these have the grabbers that will lift numerous different types of garbage cans. After discussions with the solid waste department, Chuck Moore, the supervisor, this is the kind of grabber that he would like to have installed. I have quotes from two different companies. One company has them on a state contract and they won't need to be bid. The other company does not have them on a state contract and they would need to be bid. These are both identical Perkins lifter grabbers. The first quote is from Mid-State Equipment, and that type of tipper grabber of the Perkins installed would be $7,197.89. I also got a quote on the same Perkins lifter grabber from Municipal Equipment, and theirs is on state contract, and their gave us a price installed of $7,089.49. There's not a lot of difference between the two quotes. One of the biggest things is Municipal Equipment has it on state contract and it won't need to be bid, where Mid-State does not. Municipal, that also includes them picking the trucks up, installing them, and delivering them back to us here in Pikeville.
Is there a motion to purchase 4 Perkins Auto Arm lifters with Leach hydraulic tap-in kits installed at Municipal Equipment Incorporated in Louisville? Units to be picked up and delivered upon completion back to Pike County. Units to be installed on Packmore 12-yard rear loaders, total of 4 units at the state contract price, actually less than the state contract price, for $7,089.49 each. Well, we have to bid them. That's true.
That's going to delay trucks.
I don't really know that it's going to be a delay. I mean, there's going to be an installation time, whichever company puts them on. There's an installation time.
What I'm saying is, beds is already at Mid-State.
Why can't they go ahead and put them on?
When they're putting the beds on the trucks, they can go ahead and put the tippers on at the same time.
Yeah.
Beds on the truck.
Well, I mean, there is I mean, either way you want to go, there is an installation time, you know, whether Mid-State puts them on or whether
I agree with
Municipal
that.
Equipment
What
puts
I'm
them on.
saying is, when the trucks are delivered, the trucks will be ready to go if they put the can tippers on while the bodies is up.
Is the bodies already there?
Yeah, the bodies will be there.
I mean, are they already there?
No, the trucks will be there. 2 of the trucks will be delivered to Mid-State Thursday. When I talked to Mid-State today, they expect the bodies to be there within a couple of weeks.
What I'm saying, in other words, but when those bodies get put on those trucks, you gotta ship those trucks and bodies from Mid-State all the way to Louisville, put the can tippers on. Get the can tippers put on there for no more difference in the price. I mean, we're out for shipping the truck all the way to Louisville, and then waiting on them to put it on.
Well, they're, you know, included in that price that Mid-State gave us, even though it's a reduced price from the actual state contract price, that included them you know, picking the trucks up and put them on, delivering them back to Pike.
For municipal.
Municipal equipment.
We just have to get a bid out. If it's the court's desire to get mid-state.
Looks to me like it would delay getting the trucks when you're already needing trucks. You got the trucks and the body in the same place being put together, and then you're gonna ship it all the way to Louisville, just put a can tipper on it. To me, it makes more sense to put the can tipper on it, while it's right there at Mid-State.
And you gotta bid it.
Well, I mean,
Then the
the
question,
thing about it is, you're 2 weeks out, how long does it take to bid it?
I mean, we put the bid out. If somebody, I don't know who else might bid on it, but
Well, it's this Thursday.
Well, I'm just saying, if you put the bid out, I mean, it makes more sense to put it on where the truck is being put together at. I mean,
Well,
I'll
the
put
tippers
bid
won't-
out there and see, I mean,
The tippers won't be installed in the truck until the body's put on the chassis, once it's complete. Now, once they install the body on the chassis, whether they go ahead and put the tipper on there, or whether municipal just picks them up, puts the tipper on, I don't see it being a big delay.
you guys call it, whatever you wanna do, if you wanna do.
I'd say put the tippers on there when they put the bodies on it.
How long would it take to get a bid out, Greg, and get it back?
Well, I'll have to get it advertised, and then,
2 weeks.
see, what that delays too is making sure that they have the tippers available from Perkins, because if we bid it, we're at least probably 10 days out before we can notify them that that's our intentions, that's what
What
that's
you're
what we
worried
want
about
to
is
do.
if
But
they-
if they're on
if they
state
sold it-
contract, we can,
why don't you call Mid-State and see if they got the tippers?
I talked to him about it today, he don't have the tippers.
He definitely don't have the tippers?
No. He told me he had two that are actually, no, I'm sorry, he had two that were lined up for another truck, that he would have to get some more if we put them on this truck, on these trucks.
So how long did it say it take to get that?
He didn't say. He told me that it'd be a couple weeks to get the body. But I was just worried about bidding it, and it'd be 10 days or so before we could tell them if that's what we want to do, if we needed them or not, and then him try to order, and somehow there'd be a delay from the time the tippers got there, and the trucks may be ready to go and the tipper's not there. Where if they're on state contract, we can tell them now, yeah, that we want them, and they would be there in plenty of time.
Well, I'd say we've got 28 days before we're supposed to get the truck. So I don't know why we don't have them put on where we're getting the bodies at.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's let Greg call tomorrow and see if they can have them and guarantee us
That they'll be on there when the bodies come here.
that the day that they're ready, that they'll have them ready. The day the bodies are ready, they'll have them in stock and ready to install.
Okay.
And if they don't do that, we may have to have a special court meeting next week anyway on some of these other issues. Then we can award it. The flip side of that is, I think what Greg's saying is, if somebody else buys those tippers, or they don't have them in at Mid-State, then, you may just,
Mid-State needs to give us an answer tomorrow.
or I'm talking about municipal, if Mid-State can't get them,
Yeah.
then we would go back to.
Be better to put them on.
I don't disagree with that, but
But if Mid-State can't get them, we'll send them to Louisville.
and can you let us know that tomorrow, Greg? And if so, then we'll get the bid out. If they can have them, then we'll get the bid out, see who else bids on it, and then take it from there.
I will.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else come before the court? Pike County Road Supervisors Report, Mr. Little. Please proceed, sir. Why don't you give us an update on our road department and so forth, and particularly on the mowing side of it?
Well, we're trying our best. We're doing okay with what we've got. We're mowing. We should have one round probably done in area 2 by the end of this week, we'll move into 4. Try to get it knocked out and then move into 3. I think 6 is just about got around complete. 5, I'd say they're about halfway done. 1 is down a mower, so they're behind.
The mower that we had the transmission repaired in,
Yes.
what have we done with that mower?
Well, the last I heard, it was they was thinking it was just a linkage. I've not got an update yet to find out if it was the linkage
Well,
or if it
I was
in-
told the linkage too. Are they using it?
No, not yet, because it's going to be repaired at the garage if it is a linkage. If
Well-
not, then it'll have to go back.
I think they need to get on that one pretty quick, and if it's the linkage, they can repair it. If it's not the linkage, we need to put it on the low boy and take it back where we got it.
I agree with you, because
Yeah.
that was a mower that we just paid to have the transmission rebuilt in.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Other than that, I'd like to tell the court that the guardrail is installed on Ford Mountain now. It looks good. It was a good job. A lot of boys put in some hard work there. If the court don't mind, I'd like to brag on Thomas Thacker, Robbie Ratliff, Greg Phipps, Pernell Roberts. They put in 3 hard days to get about 2,500 feet of guardrail and post up out of the ground.
I do just briefly want to mention Thomas Thacker and Robbie Ratliff and Purnell and Greg Phipps for, we got the project done on Ford Mountain. It's probably the best shape that road's been in maybe in the last 40 years. New pavement, new guardrail, and repaired several breaks. And they took down all the guardrail. That saved us money to do that. We can use that guardrail.
We can.
That material we can use to fix other breaks. And I want to personally thank them. The road department's worked really hard. And a lot of the employees on the road department have rotated over to help on solid waste. We've had to, we've had them working hard on doing that. And but for the employees in the road department, we could not have kept the solid waste system running with the situation that we've had to deal with. So would you please convey my appreciation, the appreciation of the fiscal court to those employees for all the hard work?
I sure will.
Were you pleased with the road project up there on Ford Mountain?
I really am. That was the only, we're lacking the ditch lines. That's the only thing I lack on there. We get some baffles put on that ditch line to slow that water down coming off that mountain, and the mountain really should be in good shape for a few years.
Hopefully a long time.
A long time.
So also, was it Tuesday morning, Mr. Little and Judge Hickman and Chuck Morley and myself went up and looked at Kewanee Road. On the Pikeville side, they've had a substantial slide. And that slide is going to take, I think, Rusty Justice from Jigsaw Construction is in there working on that. And there's needs to be some work. Those folks that live over there on the county side, there's some work that needs to be done. Fabian went back up and looked at the area where we took out of the road system, that road. Fabian's convinced that even if you fix the one area that we decided not to fix, that there's going to be other areas that are going to have the same thing happen. It's just a matter of time.
I am. I mean, that is still my position, and I know it's not popular, but I really do believe that the court made the right decision.
And it could, once you got in there, it could easily exceed $500,000 to repair that.
Easy.
So I think that when we get our flex money this year, that we need to look at doing some resurfacing on that road. Hopefully the city's repair to the area that has failed most recently. And when we went up there, it looks like they've recently put some new pavement up there on the city part of it. There were areas, Commissioner Robertson, that looked like it were over a foot thick in old blacktop. And with all the rain, that weight on that outcropping, it failed. It's going to be a big project. They do have a way of ingress and egress, but there needs to be some work done on that road. And I think I would support it if the other members of the court would as well. So, and I know you've got some friends that live over there and want to make sure that's taken care of.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
When will we know about our flex money, our funding?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, so the public, last year we got $395,000 from the state for blacktop.
Yes. In
the conversation that I had with the Rural Road Commissioner, we were told that potentially could be cut in half. We're losing between $500,000 and $600,000 in county road aid from the base that we had last year. Plus, if you factor in, cutting the SEEK, if it does in fact get cut in half, you're talking an $800,000 hit to the road department in lost revenue this year. So, that could really tie our hands on what we can get done this year.
Yeah. And I always try to be proactive, and the situation now has kind of got us to being reactive. What that means is I kind of have to react to situations instead of trying to prevent situations.
Last year we did a lot of proactive stuff with, ditches that hadn't been pulled in years and cleaning out drains and things like that. And you're right, with the reduced manpower and the reduction in the funding for the road department,
Yeah.
it is put us in a position of having to be reactionary, of having to take care of the worst places. And
Yes.
as a matter of fact, I've got a couple to give to you after the court meeting tonight.
Okay.
Commissioner Booth?
The bridge at Watson Hill, have you had a chance to look at it yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. I know I looked at it today. We're going to have to look at it real close. What about Taylor Fork Bridge? How close are we ever going back to getting that?
We have to get our excavator out of the shop. As soon as we get it out of the shop, it's going to have to, honestly, it's got to go to Falls Branch first. We've got several feet of drain to put in at Falls Branch, and then my next move was to go there and build that bridge.
Okay. And those, only thing I don't see, those I sent you the other day, they ain't on here. The those road work.
Well, they should have been.
Okay.
They should have been on there.
Okay. I just didn't know if.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I've got them.
I know I've got them.
They should have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just went through it though and seen it wasn't on our side. I just wanted to let you know they ain't on
I
there,
will
so.
get them on there. But
Okay.
I appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah. All right. That's all I had.
We did have a lady call us, if I can find my note, where they're concerned about the width of the bridge over at Ford Bottom at Zebulon. And I explained to the lady that called, like, a UPS truck can't cross the bridge. There's some other issues. There was a question about whether that bridge could be widened. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not, but I mean, I'm familiar with the bridge. What hurts there is Mr. Commissioner Robertson will tell you, it's the entrance. It's not really the width of the bridge per se as much as it is the sharp turn you have to take to get onto it. But now to widen that bridge, I don't know, you may not have to bust the entire deck off to get it done, but it would be a pretty substantial, undertaking.
And it would seem to me that if the bridge is safe right now, that it would be money that we couldn't afford to spend to widen it.
And that's where I tend to lead also, especially with the situation we're in. Yeah, because it is, the bridge is structurally sound.
Is there anything we can do to, on the approach or the entrance?
You can't,
You'd be
because you undermine the state road. You'd be undermining the state road if you tried to cut out the sharp turn. So there's really nothing you can do.
They have a problem getting something across it?
Yeah, it's my understanding they can't get a UPS truck or some of the FedEx trucks and so forth.
We blacktopped that this year. We had 10-wheelers over in there, 6-wheelers.
Well, that was just a complaint. Don't shoot the
no,
messenger.
I'm not.
Right?
I'm sorry.
I'm just the messenger.
I apologize. I was just thinking out loud.
It was a nice lady that called me with the complaint, and I told him I would pass it on. So
okay.
I've been shot down thoroughly. So
Well, like Fabian says, the bridge is sound. I mean, it's a good bridge.
Yeah, it is.
And I explained that if the bridge is sound, it's likely nothing we could do about
Right.
that. Had another one over on Pinson Fork at Runyon Branch. Have you been contacted about this one? Junie Carroll, I don't know if Commissioner Booth's familiar with that. It's 101 Runyon Branch. They've had some problems with the bridge. They said the ends are falling in. I'm not sure that that is a county bridge.
Danny's. It's the bridge boards. Yeah, I've got to find where I can get bridge boards. We have a problem trying to get bridge boards cut. Yeah, and I spoke to Danny and his wife both over this issue.
I think Rodney Wright's been cutting some bridge boards
Heather?
at Dean. I'm not for sure, but check with him. That keep you have to go all the way to Moorhead.
Yeah.
Can you let me know on that tomorrow, and let's get with the Carrolls and let them know what's going on with that?
I can.
Okay, because I want to make sure that they know that we're trying to get it fixed for them.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll give him a call as well, so, all right.
And right there at the,
Another issue, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jason.
go ahead.
No, I'm not.
Lick Fork. We're right up in Lick Fork there, about where the Burks live. There's a bad pothole there. I don't know if we're just going to have to pull about 4 foot of it to straighten it up or not. But
Get through that section.
Yeah, right there. It's in front of Shannon Burke's house.
Yeah. Well, there's another one on up there where we'd set the walls at that would probably need it also.
Okay.
I hate to bring up another bad subject to get shot down again.
No.
I should have wore my. Okay. I should have wore my Peterbilt hat that Commissioner Robertson bought me after I got voted down on the Peterbilt versus Internationals. It's in my car.
They gave you that, Judge.
I do like the hat though, Ronnie. I appreciate that. You get voted down, they buy you a hat. So to bring a bad subject up,
I'm gonna get you a belt buckle.
I know where that goes to. I appreciate that. So it's not always fun being judged when you get abused by your commissioners. More serious note, Big Hackney's Creek. Have you and Commissioner Tackett had an opportunity to get with the coal company on that?
I actually have called, and I'm waiting a return call. They had returned my call. He was going to take it on to the parent company. I'd gave him an estimate of what I felt would be reasonable that it would cost to blacktop that. If they would help us with the blacktop, then we would provide all the labor. And like I said, he was going to take it on to the parent company and then get back with me, and I've yet to hear from him yet.
How much was the estimate on that?
70.
70,000.
I think we could have a meeting as quick as next Tuesday, I think. I'll let you know more tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we go to Treasurer's business, we got Eugene Gibbs from the Pike County Senior Citizens Board here. We've got a major issue. Oh, I'm not to that. I do, I'm sorry. Okay, is there a motion to approve the Pike County Commissioners' recommended road maintenance list? Motion by Commissioner Booth, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. So that brings us to an issue that we need to address. Eugene, would you want to come on up to the table? We've got a major issue looming for the Pikeville Senior Citizen Center. And I think we've got some photographs. Did we put those up on the? I can't see them on my screen. Okay, hang on a second. Okay. And we've got Mr. Tim Campoy, who happens to be a mining engineer here. And Tim may know someone that could look at this when he sees the pictures. Not sure, but let's go to the next picture. Okay, let me turn this over to Judge Hickman, and
Frankie, are those scrolling, or can you stop them? We need to kind of go a little at a time. These are not in any particular order. This picture here is showing the baseboard, and there's a crack at the bottom of the baseboard. And Paul, why don't you come forward also as well, because Paul was with me, and he can you see it on the screen above, Paul? Yeah. Okay. The baseboards are pulling loose. The floor is actually sinking away from the bottom of the baseboard. Frankie, go ahead. We've got linear fractures, horizontal fractures here at the top of the doors and several doors. And that just shows one of those. Those cracks are all going to the outside, correct, Paul? So they run through the block all the way through the brick on the outside. Next slide. On the right-hand side, to the right of the lights and the left of the door, the ceiling grid is actually buckled. So you're running along level, and then it buckles up against the wall where the wall's pulling away from the ceiling grid.
Tim, can you come up to the table real quick?
Once again, additional cracks. These are just 2 or 3 blocks up on the inside of one of the storage rooms. And once again, these cracks here run all the way to the outside through the brick. Okay, hold that one right there, Frankie. This is a major crack right here that's stair-stepping down toward the floor. And once again, these cracks all run to the outside, and you'll see slides of those in just a second. Additional fractures. I think there's those cracks there are multiple cracks, one running to the wall and one underneath that window there. Close to floor level, just a couple of blocks up, just more stair-step type cracks in the block. Once again, all runs to the outside. Now, hold that one there. Paul, tell them what you did right here with that refrigerator, the stainless steel unit.
We changed that refrigerator out a few months ago. I can't remember exactly when it was.
Was it since January?
It was level.
Pardon? Since January 1st?
Maybe, yeah. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was level. And that what caught my eye the other day when we was up there.
Pulled away about 2 to 3 inches from the wall being level, because the back of that unit was all the way up level with the wall. So the floor here is what's giving way.
The floor
so,
is what's...
Yeah, okay. Another crack, as you can see, we got stress fractures, all over the drywall. Now, these may be hard to see. Yeah, we don't have the best picture there, but
you can see it.
You can see that the crack is running all the way, stair-stepping down the brick. Now, the one thing that we noticed there, Tim, that might be of interest to you is that it's beginning to crack not in the mortar joints, but actually stressing through the solid brick. We took that as being a bad sign of really high tension. This would be on the right-hand side, the Elm Street extended side of the building, facing Pike's housing complex. That door, from the top of that door, stair-stepping down, all cracked. Basically another shot of the same thing. Now, if you hold that shot there, you can pick up both sides of that door. We've got stair-step cracks all the way to the ground, all the way to the concrete.
Even the windows pointing away from the window. Glass right there.
How long has this been like this?
they spent, it's my understanding, this is not the first time they've had structural issues with that building. They spent I think the number I was told, they spent somewhere around 150,000 on it once before. It was 86, okay, I'm sorry. They spent 86,000 on it once before. When was that, Eugene? Do you remember?
I think it was 2003, wasn't it, Lang? Yeah.
I mean, Eugene, I think our conversation is that you all have considered, the board has considered shutting it down because of concerns.
My concern is, Judge, that we need to act immediately to do something, and we're working on that to probably by the first of next week to be out of there. Because my concern is, if this thing opens up, it drops in, and we got employees up there, and the liabilities would be tremendous if something was to happen to one of our employees, and I didn't want to see that happen. And unless we got $250,000, $300,000 hid somewhere between you guys over there, I don't see us doing anything about it, really. There's a whole lot more to the story that you really need to know about, who owns the building and how the building's laid out and whose liabilities are at this point, as long as, my understanding, as long as it's Senior Citizen Center, it's the county's problem.
Who built the building?
Well, here's the thing, there's a deal in here, and Diana, you might want to correct me if I'm wrong. The deal is, as long as it stays the Senior Citizen Center, it's a county's problem. If we close it down and it goes to something else, it goes back to the city of Pikeville.
Well, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Before we do, here's what I would say. Before we do anything, y'all might want to spread out a little bit. You might be getting a little too close in the 6 feet there. We don't want to do that. It would be I would suggest that right now you still are just doing home delivery. Is that correct?
Quite a few. That's the best center we have.
So what I would suggest is that move the meal preparation to, say, Shelby Valley.
That's what we're planning.
Temporarily. Because, the in-person services are still suspended because of the pandemic.
Right.
Tim, you had talked to me about the fact that you have an affiliated geotechnical or structural engineer that can look at this. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge, that's correct. Got some companies that we worked with, both in geotech and structural and architectural, that we do work with City of Pikeville, for example.
What are your thoughts on it? I know it's a little bit outside of your engineering field, but what do you think of?
Well, there appears to be some serious settlement and some stresses running through that building that's obviously not just breaking mortar joints, but, like Judge Hickman said, going through solid brick. And so, and it looks kind of, it could be in multiple locations. You don't just have one spot like you do, many times with buildings.
What do you think it would cost us to get someone to come up here and look at this from your firm, geotechnical, architectural, or structural?
I'd hate to say at the moment, without showing them some information and kicking around some ideas with them, then I could come back to you with some estimates as to, just to come up and do an evaluation to see what it would be worth.
Could you get that to us by the end of the week?
Should be able to. I'd like to have those pictures.
We can do that. I mean, when you see inch-wide cracks, that's not just a mortar joint crack from this is, and Eugene, you're absolutely right. I'm concerned about,
That's what I'm concerned with, Judge.
Because keep in mind, we are on a fault here that we are always at risk for some type of, mostly even a minor earthquake could do something to this building, it would seem.
Well, you've obviously got problems with doors, and then you mentioned a window and the floor. Right.
Do they have another building? Are they another?
The floor is going this way. It's like it's.
See, that wasn't part of the river field. That was built at the old ice plant that used to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
There a couple years ago, I had the city run sewer camera up. We've been having a lot of sewer problems. Took a lot of it off, we rerouted it, but 25 foot in, it took a big drop, you know, sewer line did. Probably every 4 or 5 months, we gotta go over and jet it out, you know. It's gotten, the last couple of months is when I really noticed it's.
What'd you have to do, Paul? What did you all do?
We've had the sewer, put a jetter up in the sewer line, jet the lines out, about twice a year.
It's
We
real
put the
bad.
sewer camera up in there, about 25 up in the kitchen right there, 25 foot to the kitchen. That's where it takes a big drop, a big drip.
So
And that's where it's settling. It's
So really the whole floor or whatever's
Floor, yeah.
collapsing.
But it's not but probably 50 foot of the building, you know. The upper end of the building is stable, you know.
It's good shape. But back there where our employees do the most work and is to
Yeah.
cook it and stuff and some of the storages, it's like he showed you the refrigerator. It's just not feasible to have anybody in there. We need to,
So let me
Gone.
throw this out. Let's get the estimate. We gotta come back probably, we've talked, maybe some issues for next week, we have to do a special meeting. If we do that, we got the estimates, it would be, you know, it's reasonable, I would say, let's get an engineer to look at it, see if we can figure this out. Once we figure out what's going on with it, then we can say, okay, what's it gonna cost to fix it? But it will be, you know, I'm gonna call Mayor Carter, because, I mean, this impacts city residents in their
Big time.
ability.
big time.
And, you know, it's a pretty good haul up to Robinson Creek, or to Caney, to the Senior Citizen Center there. But, you know, I don't know, I mean, this could be hundreds of thousands of dollars to address this. And the problem is, it's not just fixing the building, it's, you gotta fix whatever's causing the problem.
Right.
And, you know, it may not even be possible to fix it. But let's at least find out what a geotechnical consultant, would the court be inclined to do that, to see what what might be causing this?
But Judge, in the meantime, we're gonna move them out of there and go to Shelby Valley. That's what Diane and I have been discussing, and with some of the other board members also, that where we can't have seniors in the building, we can still provide the service for the homebound people, which is probably in the neighborhood 75 or 80 just for the Pikeville homebound. Plus, we can take care of up Robertson Creek also.
The Pikeville Center is actually doing about 140 meals a day. She does 75 to 80 homebound. But then the congregate people that came to the center drive in and get a meal. They, just drive up to the door. The Shelby Valley Center does 53 meals. So if we can work it out with both of them, and that's what I explained to him today, that this would be temporary till we get something figured out. And it's a quick fix to get our employees out of the building.
Is there a way to have a rendezvous point for delivery on these meals for some folks here in Pikeville?
Well, now that's something will have to be worked out. But most of those people, well, you're talking, several of them do come to the center, and then the employees take them out to them. We could work something out to be suitable because people's got
About
used
10
to those
miles.
meals.
I think it's about 10 miles up there, and it's 12 miles to Penny Road, I think.
Yeah.
So it's about 10 miles up to the center there, maybe.
Well, we got a plan. So Tim, you'll give us
Judge, I
some.
would suggest, that we not only talk to geotech, but also structural.
You tell us what we need, get us an estimate, and then we'll take action on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
We appreciate you coming tonight too, Tim.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate being here.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you,
Eugene,
Dad.
Would you do me a favor, you and Diane, Diane, would you and Eugene please extend a thank you to all of the Senior Citizen Center employees, because they have done a remarkable job of making sure that our seniors have not missed any meals, even though the centers have been closed down. They've continued to provide the meal service. we've had some fiscal court employees at times that have had to go out and help deliver. And if you need help along those lines, we're here. We'll make sure that no senior misses a meal.
Right. We've actually delivering over 500 a day between the 6 centers, and the employees, none of them have missed a day of work.
No.
None of the seniors have contacted any kind of virus, sick, been in the hospital, and none of the employees have. So I'm really proud of them, the way they've worked and the way they've done through this. And they've worked hard, too.
They really have, Judge. They really have. I'm at the center just about every day. I do help what I can with them, but the Blackberry Center with the Phelps area lives about 105 meals a day when we're open 3 days a week. And we have a good response from people coming in, and we don't let them in the center. They come, we pull up, and we take them out to the porch, and they take them. So we're doing pretty well right now. It's just that I just hope we can get them all back, because the seniors are restless. They do want to get back, and they miss sitting on a rocker and telling a big tale. They miss it bad.
I know a lot of them miss the socializing, and that's important.
They miss it a lot.
The seniors at the Kemper Center, the director there said she heard all kinds of horns blowing a couple of weeks ago, and she went to the door and looked, and it was a whole string of them, like a parade. And they had big signs on their cars, and we'll be back, and God will save us, and they miss it.
They do miss it, and we hope and pray we can get them open back soon.
But Judge, I would also like to thank Brian Morris for sending the people out to spray all of our buildings, to sanitize. That saved us a lot. And I also would like to thank William and Jimmy Kaiser for the emergency situation that they took the meals out for us that day. Okay, I had 5 people to thank. That's 2 of them. My employees, most of all.
They do a great job.
They truly have. They actually have asked for a week's paid vacation when all this is over.
That's up to your board.
It is the board.
I do want to ask a question. And some folks don't understand that the fiscal court doesn't manage the senior citizen centers. There's a board that's elected from a member from each center that runs the program. The fiscal court just provides money. And there was some concern that I had, Commissioner Booth, Commissioner Roberts, Commissioner Tackett, about what was going to happen, excuse me, at the Phelps Center and at the Marbone Center. And, I've got a lot of friends that went to those centers, and I understand you're all like us. You're having to make hard decisions because of your financial situation.
True.
And it's my understanding you are somewhere 50,000 or more short on your budget because of the loss of bingo revenue. Is that true?
Yes.
True.
How have the senior citizens at Marbone and Phelps, have they been able to be served or have access to centers?
Yes, sir. The Elkhorn Center is providing the meals, the home-delivered meals. And we also have recommended that they visit the Elkhorn Center or the Shelby Valley Center. I'm not sure if you all saw the map that Charles Maynard fixed for me, and it was just right in the middle of those 2 centers, not very many miles. And then the Phelps Center was the same way. We had the Blackberry Center, and then we had Phelps, and then we had Kemper, and Phelps was right in the middle. The attendance at both of them was not what we needed to justify paying the utilities and keeping a building up.
It was all in the numbers, Judge. The numbers proved it all. When you lay out 8 centers and you do your numbers, that's what you have to do. You all know that.
Eugene, and I'll defend the board because, people were going on Facebook criticizing these decisions, but you can't spend money you don't have.
That's true.
And I don't care if it's in your household budget, whether you're running this court, whether you're running my business or Ronnie's business or Jason's business. I mean, if you don't have money, you can't spend it.
Can't do it.
And people have, you know, the costs are going up. Your pension costs, your health insurance costs, we've had those conversations. It's a bad situation. And, you know,
Terrible.
unless we can put people to work and get people, you know, to stop leaving, the first thing we got to do is stop them from leaving the area. We got to put some people back to work. It's not going to be easy to do. I mean, no matter what we do, we're going to be competing against every other community in America for jobs. But we have to try. It's the most pressing thing. But if, you know, and I've told people this, I've not sugarcoated this. If we can't do that, you're going to feel more financial pressure. This court's going to feel more financial pressure. And you're like us, you have to have a balanced budget. You can't wish yourself to spend more money. If you don't have it, you can't spend it.
Can't spend it.
I think you told me that the power bill alone at the Phelps Center was about $2,000 a month.
Right.
$1,900 and some dollars.
Yeah. And everything's going up. We ordered some hamburger, just to give you an example. We get 6 rows of 10-pound rolls to a case. $300 for hamburger. That's just a small thing. Everything we touch, our milk, it doesn't make no difference what we buy. It's just going up skyrocket. And if you don't believe me, just go to the grocery store and buy you a pound of hamburger.
Well, my wife sent me to the grocery store and I bought 9 pre-patted, you know, pre-packaged hamburger patties. It was almost $16. Oh. And I saw on the news this week that this is the largest increase in food costs in recent history. That food prices have gone up substantially and they're not likely to come down. When you see meat processing plants shut down, I mean, you all feed 500 people a day just on home delivery, so you can imagine what your food costs are going to have to be.
We also have to use a specified design of tray to put these home delivered meals in so that they stay warm. You can't just put it in a styrofoam tray. They have to be able to stack on top of each other, and they plug into like a plug-in in your car, and they stay warm. Well, when all this virus started, they were $190 a case, and now they're $260 some.
So, and this
I'm
is what,
using 500 a day.
So let me put this out there, and I hope people are listening, particularly people. I've got a lot of friends in Phelps and people in Marbone that went to those centers. I would rather, with the increased cost of food, with the loss of revenue from bingo, the increased pension costs and other costs I would rather make sure that we can protect the home meal delivery part of the program for every senior citizen in Pike County that needs it than to keep a building open just to have somewhere to go play cards or something.
True.
That's true.
Yeah,
the home delivered meal program, to me, is the most important thing there is about this program.
I agree.
And this court is committed to making sure that happens. Now, something that I'm going to talk to Eugene about later tonight, something I want to do to help the senior citizen centers from the judge's office that we'll talk about later. But let me say this. My grandparents, Monroe and Nora Jones, were dependent on the meal delivery program from the Shelby Valley senior citizens in the last years of their lives. And when they were in their late 80s and early 90s and were no longer able to cook and they were losing their independence, I was thankful that my grandparents had access to the Shelby Valley Senior Citizens Program. One of the most important things that this fiscal court does, and I hope people are listening to this, is to make sure that our most vulnerable senior citizens don't go hungry. As a Christian, as you know, what more that's the most important thing. I think it's probably the most important thing that we help make sure happens.
I do too, Judge.
And if people want to get mad because they don't have a place to go play cards or play rook or whatever, and they want to criticize you all or criticize us, so be it. But every senior citizen, as long as I'm judge and Ronnie Robertson, Jason Tackett, and Brian Booth are sitting in these seats, we're going to do what we have to do to make sure our senior citizens have a
Feed the
meal.
homebound.
To feed the homebound. Because it could be any one of us, you know, in a few years. Ronnie, it could be sooner than later. I owed him that one after the Peterbilt episode.
Hey, Judge, I also would like to say that our home delivered meal drivers, I mean, all of our employees are very important. They have to all work together to make this program work. But our home delivered meal drivers sometimes are the only person that these people see. They don't have family, nobody comes and visits.
True.
And I got to tell you something that happened a couple of weeks ago. The meal driver pulled in and the gentleman was up on the roof, the senior. And she said, "Oh, no, stop. Where's the ladder?" And he said, "Around back." So she said, "Let me get to the ladder. Don't move till I get to the ladder." And when she got out back, he was laying on the blacktop. He fell off of the roof. If she hadn't have been there, which, of course, it's bothered her really bad, because she said maybe if I hadn't yelled at him, but he would have come down anyway for something else. But our meal drivers are very special.
Well, please, on behalf of the fiscal court, give them our sincere thank you. And I'll make this promise to the people of this county, that before any of us would take a salary, we'll make sure whatever we have to do to find the money, I don't care what it is, we'll make sure that our senior citizens have a meal delivered to them if they need it.
And Judge, as a board member, and I can speak for the rest of them, we're gonna do everything, and as we've been doing, to see that these homebound people are fed, because they're special people. I've been there many a time to their homes, took them meals and listened to some of their, really just want to sit and talk with you, but you don't have time to do that. And as Diane said, they don't get, nobody comes around until the 3rd of the month. I had a little lady said on the 3rd of the month they get company.
Her family comes. It's true. They just want to talk to you, but you only have 4 hours to deliver maybe 50 or 60 meals. So you can't, you can't spend as much time as you want to with them. But the way I have always felt, and I think I've even said this to the judge, we had 8 centers. And I said, "Judge, we could make it on 4, because we still could deliver meals all over this county with 4 senior citizen centers." I've made that. Did I tell you that?
We hope we don't have to do that.
I hope you don't have to do that either, but
I am concerned about the increased food cost. That really concerns me about, because let's just face it, when you did your budget for the senior citizens program,
we did.
You weren't counting on, a 30 or 40% increase in food cost.
Did not have any idea it'd be that way.
And Judge, when we started, and we've both been here just about 20 years, we asked for a $1.50 donation. That's what we still ask for. 20 years later, we've never asked for any more from the seniors. Whether they don't have to pay, but it helps our program if they can pay.
And I would encourage. I've got one piece of good news. Sharon, would you come up for a second, please? Sharon has a presentation to make on behalf of the Pike Fork Rotary Club. But let me say this: if there are businesses out there, churches that want to do something to help their county, to help their community, the one thing that they could do, if they want to make a donation, they don't have to look any further than our senior citizens program. You need vehicles, increased food cost. There's people that, send donations around the world for various things. We need, charity starts at home, and we need, the senior citizens program would be a good place to start. Sharon?
Yes, on behalf of Pikeville Rotary Club, we've not been able to meet, of course. We've had a few board meetings. I'm the president of the Rotary Club, but we wanted to be able to continue to help people in the community, and we felt like the most people, the people that need the most help right now are food banks, organizations that are preparing meals, kitchens, and we've donated to 2 here in the city, and we wanted to donate to somebody in the county. So on behalf of the Rotary Club, we want to donate $1,500 for food.
Oh, my
great,
goodness.
great.
How
That'd be
wonderful.
great.
Thank you, darling.
I have some more good news besides that one.
Great.
I know for a fact that Sharon had a lot to do with this. And I appreciate it, Sharon.
Well-
On behalf of the board members, the
We do.
program, the
We appreciate
employees,
it very
we
much.
thank you.
And I found another place to get her another $1,000, and it's on its way, AT&T. I wrote a
AT&T.
letter and requested $1,000 for food, well, for however you want to use it. If you
Right.
want to buy the warmers or food, whatever. But,
Thank you so much.
$500 to help, I hope.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that,
Well,
really.
even the warmers that she was saying, they cost $400. And so now I have to have 6, and
Yeah,
that's what goes in the vehicle to keep the
keep them hot.
trays warm.
You know, so that they have to travel an hour or two.
Everything, is expensive when you start running a business. It's like that's what it's like.
Well, we gave
But
you all
we
double-
thank you,
We
honey.
gave you
Thank
all
you
double
very-
what we did
very
the others.
much.
I shouldn't say that.
They doubled our check.
Well, we felt like we should.
I also need to thank AEP. I knew I had another one on my list.
Yes.
And I actually thanked Mr. Shirtliff out in the hallway.
Yeah.
We got a $5,000 check from them, but it's just designated to buy shelf meals. Now, a shelf meal is just a meal that, like, if a senior, say for instance it snowed and we couldn't deliver, or if the car broke down, something, anything, they would have peanut butter or beanies and crackers,
Right.
something in that shelf meal that they could get down and eat for their lunch that day. So we ordered those with the money that AEP donated, and I would like to thank them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually gave quite a bit to Big Sandy Ad, and they distributed, I think it was like $30,000, and they distributed among all the seniors in the Big Sandy region. And
There's
there's
5 counties.
And Pike
5
County got
counties.
5,000. They might have been 20, was it 25,000?
Five counties, and
Yeah, 5 counties.
and actually, the power company sent a employee come out and went with our meal drivers and helped deliver.
We appreciate that.
I asked them, and they had already took care of it.
They done a great job. This shows, she said, $1.50 suggested donation. You can correct me, but I believe it's $7.24 it cost us to make one meal.
Yes.
That's everything,
Yeah, that's
packing.
employees, utilities, all, but it costs like $7.50, and we asked for $1.50 donation.
And people are pretty good about it.
But we love our little seniors, I'm telling you.
Huh?
How much per meal?
Around 7.34,
By the time you
38, I
include
don't know.
Employee wages.
Wages,
Yeah, well,
utilities.
those
And
those
everything.
containers she was telling you about, those things are very expensive. You have to have them. I mean, you can't just put them in a top
Yeah.
and send them. You can't do that.
I would think that we probably need to do a better job of reaching out to some of our business, corporate citizens to see what help. And I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. I mean, you've got some, entities here like Community Trust Bank and others that I believe if we ask for help, it would. And we need to make sure that the senior citizens program is adequately funded.
Community Trust Bank, Judge, they are really good because they always help with the senior games.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're one of the sponsors.
yeah, they're one of the sponsors of the senior games.
But if you ask for 1,000 here and 1,500 or 2,000 there, you can collect
Good
quite a
deal.
bit of
That
money.
doesn't it?
Anything helps.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all, but I do want to state, I want to thank this court and the members of this court for all you do to help us with our program. I mean, without you guys, we couldn't do what we do.
Well, as I sat on this court, and I think all these people that sits on this court, we owe Diane and you a big gratitude, because I know this senior citizen program would work if you all, it's more than a job for you all. I mean, you care about the senior citizens. I know how you do.
I enjoy the senior citizens.
You get furious if them senior citizens are lacking something.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's just something that growed on me. I think that was my calling, I don't know.
Well,
So, I enjoy the senior citizen, and I enjoy this court for helping everything we can do. Now, the next meeting we have, I may come in there and say, look, I need some money, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know,
We did this and that. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Eugene, when I was running for this office, you know, I think Jason and we ate at some of the senior citizen place.
Yep.
And I see the happiness in those people when they can just sit there and talk and
But again, I always want to say thank you to the court, and thank you for allowing me to come in here and put my 2.5 cents in. And anytime you're all of you are welcome to come to the Senior Citizen Center when we reopen. If you come to the back door, I might be able to slip you a meal out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. All right. So, one other piece of business is the Pike County Airport Board. Mr. William Hickman, the chairman, has asked for us to approve the CARES Act grant for their reimbursement of expenses. And the airport board chairman has to sign it, the judge executive and the mayor of the city of Pikeville. Is there a motion to authorize the county judge to sign the CARES Act grant offer, grant number 3-21-0044-020-2020 for Pike County, Hatcher Field, in Pikeville, Kentucky?
motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Kevin, can you get this back to Mr. Hickman? And, because the deadline, I don't think, yeah, it does. We need to get, because that's got to be in by the 5th. All right. Next item is treasurer's business. Mr. Stacy, anything? Is there any need for executive session? We have no need for. Yes. We can't do personnel issue. All right, Kevin, can you instruct us on the personnel issue?
Personnel, Reggie. Personnel. It's KRS 61810 subsection F to discuss specific personnel matters.
Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth? Yes. Judge Jones?
Yes, we will be in recess until call the chair for purpose of executive session. I would just like to remind everyone that we have spaced everyone out, doing our best to adhere to the limitations and the 6-foot distance rule, so everybody make sure that you're spread out. We do have the seats in the courtroom marked to make sure that we are separating people, and so we're doing our best to make sure that we are still adhering to the social distancing guidelines. Now, we have a quorum back. Is there a motion to adjourn from executive session? Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. One matter I do need to bring up is we have been requested by Judge Eddie Coleman. As you know, we have the Pike County Master Commissioner conducts sales here in the courthouse. We have to make sure that we keep everyone separated under the social distancing guidelines. The judicial sales will be starting in July on Wednesdays between 9 a.m. and 9:30. Would there be a motion? I'll make a motion to allow Steve Hogg, Pike County Master Commissioner, to use the fiscal courtroom for judicial sales starting in July on Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 9:30. Is there a second? Was second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. That brings us to the Pike County, well, we need to go back on one other piece of business that we did not finish, if I can find it. And that is regarding the 25-yard Packers. It would be my motion that we purchase 2 Peterbilt 25-yard Packers from Municipal Equipment in Louisville, Kentucky on state contract price of $407,371.96, and that we authorize the county treasurer to issue payment from the solid waste fund to municipal for those vehicles as soon as possible. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Any other question or discussion? I'm sorry, Commissioner Roberts. It's been a long day. I should give him credit for buying another Peterbilt. I actually made a motion to buy a Peterbilt here. I can't believe I did that. So anyway, second by Commissioner Roberts. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. It's been a long time since 6:30 this morning. That brings us to the Pike County Department Supervisors' comments. Mr. Tackett, anything? Ms. Hall, Mr. Spears, Ms. Thacker, Mr. Little, Williamson, Mr. Kaiser. Mr. King, you have anything for us, sir? Judge Hickman, anything?
No, sir, nothing, no.
All right, Commissioner Tackett.
Judge, I just, we've let the people out here know that we've been smacked in the face and hit in the head and knocked around here the last couple months. I think today was a great court meeting. We talked about a lot of positive things for Pike County. And I just want to thank all of our employees, what a job they do, from solid waste to wherever they are in this county. And I know people don't want to hear or say we're excuses about the weeds or the potholes or whatever, but we're doing what we can with what we got to do it with. I just hope they understand that. It's going to take time. Rome up and build overnight. And that's about all I got to say.
And we didn't raise taxes.
And we didn't raise taxes.
I mean, that's always an option, but that's not one that I would support. I don't think anybody else on this court would. So, Commissioner Robertson.
Just want to thank the employees of this county. Solid Waste is working late at night, and they never, we hope to fix that they're not going to be out late much longer, hopefully. They get home to their families and be rested up, work hard the next day like they always do. And that goes with the road department. That goes with all the supervisors here, everybody in this courthouse. I thank you a whole lot. This county needs to appreciate you all. Thank you.
Commissioner Booth.
Judge, it's just good to see Grants Branch open. I was up there Sunday, done a little fishing. Lester was doing a good job up there, making sure everybody was 6 foot apart. It looked really good up there. Also, for the people up in Upper Stringtown, hopefully next week we'll be able to get the rock slide out of the creek up there. We're going to have to get a hammer to get that out. Excited to get this trail system started, and then when we get it fixed over on this side, we can move toward Phelps and Belfry area and expand it over in there. Be glad to see that get started. And I'd like to thank some of Paul's crew, KJ and Kenny. I've seen them out. They've been doing a lot of mowing and grass cutting around the parks and different areas over in there. Been doing a really good job keeping that up over there.
And I just, well, like the rest of them, want to thank our employees, especially our solid waste guys, been doing a lot of hours and putting in a lot of hard work in that. And that's about all I have today, Judge.
Thank you, Brian. To conclude the court meeting, I'd like to just briefly remind folks that last week, former Pike County Judge Executive Bill Deskins passed away, and I'd like for everyone to remember Rose and the rest of the family in their prayers. Bill loved Pike County. It was a big loss, and as you know, we recognized him recently at one of the court meetings, and he of course, served 2 terms as sheriff and 2 terms as county judge. And again, it's a big loss for the community. Not many people have served in both the role. I don't know if anybody else has served in the role in Pike County as both sheriff and county judge. So, but again, it was a big loss. Also, this week, Dr. Alex Polis, retired radiologist from Pikeville Radiology, Pikeville native, was tragically killed in a bicycle accident in Lexington. And I've known Dr. Polis for many years. He is one of the most honorable men that I've ever met, was responsible for a lot of the success at Pikeville Medical Center, longtime board member, and was one of the most moral, ethical people that I've ever met. And it is a big loss. A man that I've always admired, had tremendous respect for, man I looked up to, just a great asset to the medical profession, and for him to be killed, in a bicycle accident, it's just a terrible loss. So again, I'd like to ask you to remember the Polis family as well in your prayers. His wife Sharon has asked that donations be made in lieu of flowers to Judy's Place. And I would just like to point that out to the public. On a brighter note, I think we did make a major step forward for Pike County here today with the first lease for the trail system. One thing we didn't talk about was the fact that this budget does contain $5,028,000 in grant money for the infrastructure at the Wolf Pit industrial site. It's about 8 miles from the Marion's branch site over to Wolf Pit. So that will give Pike County, the city will have the Marion's branch site, the county will have the Wolf Pit site. It will give us an opportunity. I said when I was running for this office, there's no excuse for the largest geographical county in Kentucky not to have an industrial park in the county tax base. We're moving forward with that. We funded our senior citizens program. We fully funded in that budget the ISO program to help fund our local fire departments. We're moving the county forward. And I'll keep saying this, we didn't raise taxes. We're doing more with less. And I think that that's what the people ask us to do. I think it's important for the people over the next 2 months, you're going to see 6 new solid waste vehicles. It's going to improve reliability. It's going to improve service. It's going to save money in terms of operating costs and maintenance on some of the older vehicles that we're going to be able to auction off and get off the road that we're incurring a lot of money to run. As I've said earlier, our solid waste crews have worked very, very hard. And I was shocked that I was told that people would stop them and berate them and say stuff to them. I know people are on the edge. People have been, at home. They've not been able to get out. They're worried about the economy. They may have lost their jobs. There's a lot of uncertainty. But taking it out on people who are, working every day, 10, 12, 14 hours a day in, tough conditions, and they don't make a lot of money, that's not acceptable. And I'll continue to say that. That's not acceptable. If someone has questions about solid waste, I would encourage you not to go on Facebook and make a complaint. I had a friend of mine message me last night that it was almost 8 o'clock, his trash hadn't been picked up. I checked with Chuck Morley, our solid waste manager. They were still out working. In a few minutes, they had it picked up. These crews, because of inadequate equipment, the pandemic, the labor shortage we've had to operate, And like I said, when Lexington has to shut down their solid waste system and we keep ours open, I think it's a testament to the management and the employees. Because, you know, we can't afford to have trash piling up all over the county. I would also remind individuals that just because a pickup may be missed, it's not the end of the world. You know, I've had Monday service ever since I lived in the county up on Island Creek. And, you know, if a pickup gets missed, it's inconvenient, or if it's a Monday holiday, we're going to fix the holiday issue. But we're just asking people to be understanding because of the circumstances we're operating under. And, you know, some people, you simply have unreasonable expectations. But, you know, we're working hard on our roads. As Mr. Little said, we're having to be reactionary more than we want to be. If the financial situation improves, we'll be able to address that. If the financial situation doesn't improve, we may be looking at other cuts. But again, we're going to live within our means, and we're going to do what we can with the resources we have. We're not raising your taxes. I want to reiterate that. We're not raising taxes. We've had some folks try to start the rumor that we're raising taxes. There's no truth to that. You've got a commissioner in each district that works extremely hard. We don't always agree. Sometimes, as you saw tonight, we don't, you know, it's not always. But, you know, most of the issues that we have before the court are not something to really to fight over. You know, getting the road work done, that's not something to argue over. Establishing a trail system, that's not something to argue over. Making sure our solid waste crews have equipment that they can do the job with, it's not something to fight over. You know, making sure our seniors get their take-home meals. This court has addressed a lot of issues to move the county forward, and some people criticize us for not fighting more. But I will tell you that this court will not operate in the spectacle fashion that made a mockery out of the people of this county as it did at times in the past. We're going to run the court professionally, we're going to run it transparently, and we're going to manage our resources, we're going to manage our money. And if people don't want that, then maybe they don't have the right people here. I think this is what it's going to take to move us forward. Responsible management, conservative approach to managing our resources and moving the county forward. But we're going to focus on job growth. We can't do anything until we get Marion's Branch done. By the time we get Marion's Branch done, maybe we'll be able to start moving toward the John Moore Branch project. That will be the second major industrial site on the 460 corridor. So there's a lot of positive things that we have to talk about, things that we're able to do, even in some trying times. The fact that our senior citizens program has been able to deliver 500 meals a day during the middle of a pandemic, that's truly remarkable. And not having a single case of COVID-19 among the county workforce, the senior citizens workforce, or the seniors that are served by the program, it's truly remarkable. We've worked very hard to make sure that our staff's protected. We've worked hard to make sure the public is educated and protected. There were 2 COVID-19 cases positive here yesterday. 28-year-old asymptomatic and a 55-year-old that was symptomatic. This pandemic is not over. I'm afraid, though, as we start seeing more people congregate, that we'll start seeing more cases. We've been really lucky. Our population density is a factor, but it is not something we can take for granted. And last, let me say this in closing. The census is still being taken. That census will determine a lot of issues in terms of funding for Eastern Kentucky. We rank 7th at the last I looked. We're tied for 7th in terms of the percent of Pike County residents responding. Had a conversation with Tim Hatfield, who chairs the Pike County Census Coalition Complete Count Committee. One of the things that we're talking about is a lot of people with the pandemic shutdown, they forgot about the census. Only 55% response as of last week. Please, if you've not answered the census, it only takes about 10 minutes. Answer the census. If you didn't get the form, go on the census website. Again, it's just a few minutes. But that census will determine funding for our schools, our roads. It will determine how many people we have from Eastern Kentucky in the State House of Representatives, in the State Senate, and in Congress. And if we don't have a complete count and make sure everyone's counted for the next 10 years, we're gonna pay the price for that. So again, please make sure you take the time to pay attention to the census. Again, it's 10 minutes at the most. And if you've not answered, if you have questions, you can call the judge's office at 432-6247, and someone on the staff can point you in the direction that you need to be pointed in to make sure the census is completed. So with that being said, I'd like to ask Mr. William Spears if he would say the benediction.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you tonight, Lord, for the decisions made here tonight and the cooperation with this court. We ask your blessing on those decisions, Lord, and we ask that you help this county move forward, following your will. And Lord, we ask that you just you pour out your blessings on this county and the two families, Lord, the Deskins family and the doctor's family. We ask that you send comfort to them, Lord. We ask all these things in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Is there a motion for adjournment? Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. That's good. Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes, we are adjourned.